Hi, this is Vanessa Love, and I wanted to talk with you today about, oh yeah, about how hard it is to live in a very small city. So, all right. I think one of the most difficult cases that I had was that I was networking at a friend's party. She's now an ex-acquaintance. It just kind of happened that way. Um, so I go to one of her parties and I strike up a conversation with someone, and he ends up liking me, and he decides to come for therapy, which was really tough because he liked me. I mean, it's very clear. And he has said in therapy too that he loved me and all sorts of things. And I have a lot of feelings about that. And I can't say anything because, I mean, how awful would it be for him to find something like this and then find out, like some of the not so great thoughts that I have about him. So, definitely not something that I want to do. So this friend knew that this person was a client of mine. And she was very well connected to the community, got me, helped me out a lot. And man, I am so grateful for that. But I'm also like, well, we had to burn that bridge at some point, for reasons. So he likes me more than a therapist, and he, has told people he is coming to see me. So, very awkward spot. So my friend, at some point, I was doing classes at this gallery, the Kitchen Gallery in New London. It's different owners now, whichever. But I was doing classes on her insistence, or with her help, or whichever was kind of going on at the time. And then at some point she said to me, that he needs to change his diet in order to feel better. Such an awkward conversation. I can't say anything about his treatment plan to some person who's his friend. I can't say anything about what my intentions are in his therapy sessions. I also can't say, I don't think that's a great idea, because the problems that he has aren't going to be really changed with a change in diet. So it was like all of this stuff rolled into one, and when he got mad at me and he was, just lashing out because I wouldn't give him free therapy. I'm serious. He got upset at me, and I said, I had already had enough with the I love yous, and I was going to terminate at some point very soon anyway. So once he called me a whore, I was like, you know what, enough. And so, as I said, he was lashing out, and he did say something to the effect of, well, your friend thinks you're a greedy person. And so, that all around hurt. I'm still a person. It's not like, as much as I am a very professional person, and I can be like, wow, that situation is so fucked up and so not where I want to be. I also, can go home and privately, that was very hurtful. I mean, it was meant to be, but, I fully believe that this woman who, as I said, helped me out and everything, does believe I'm a greedy person. I fully believe that. And, I can tell you all the little points in that, where she did, where I knew that she felt that way, where I can tell you that she, maybe I said something, or, this situation happened, where it did make it seem like I was greedy. And, I hope that I'm underneath it all really not, but at the same time, being this far into debt for my my graduate studies, having to pay rent, and having people try to consistently receive free therapy from me is it is tough. There is a balance, obviously. I do need to pay these bills. I can't do everything for free. And it's, whether I'm being paid, I mean, I would hope that whoever comes to me wants me to live well and wants me to live in a way that is comfortable for me. And there are some people who do have issues with money, and there's nothing that really I can do about that. And that's, friend or client. And what I can say is that this woman does have, issues with money, and so did the client. And so, it was a little bit, I can see, as I said, where she's coming from, but I can also say, hey, look, I would expect that and hope that any person coming to me would want me to live, and that they wouldn't want me to not have food because I can't afford it, because they want free therapy, that type of stuff. I also have to pay my my practice manager for the electricity that I use, for the space that I rent, for all the things that come with having an awesome office. So it was hurtful. As I said, when I cut ties on all ends, because it really was a situation that was very unfair to me. And as I said, it's one of the most difficult situations I've been in, because this client had no problem talking about his therapy to this person, and I can't control that. I can't do anything, and this person felt that it was in her nature and in her right to talk with me about his treatment, and I, again, did not have permission. I could not say anything, and I did not feel comfortable saying anything, because really, essentially, my line of work is it necessary for that person to know? No, it's not. Your friend does not need to know that you, have this treatment compared to that treatment, need this medication compared to this medication, have this treatment plan, compared to this treatment plan. I mean, I know that when I worked in one of the private schools in the area, one time one of the students was like, well, so-and-so doesn't need to come anymore. And I wanted to be like, yeah, well, so-and-so decided to give up on their therapy. They decided not to come anymore. That's really not, where they are, as far as like, that they're doing particularly well or anything, and you can't say that stuff. You can't say that stuff. You're like, okay, well, everyone's different. And so, I'd like for you to come continuously, and, luckily I did have a couple of clients, at that school that, came consistently and did not have the same complaints. But, that's, again, one of those things you have to deal with sometimes when everyone knows that, who's going to that therapist, that, that therapist that's coming in. Oh, yeah. And I have plenty of other stories like that, too. I'm like, oh, my gosh, do you know how small Connecticut is? I mean, you would think with this much space between everyone that we wouldn't be so brushed up against each other. But, when some people are going to be chronically ill for the rest of their life, they go to the same agencies. And there's really nothing that I can do about that. And I wish that I could say names, and be like, oh, let me make up some names. Mary met Jane, and that was, this horrible thing that, like, oh my God, they started talking about this. Or, and that's, again, one of those things I wanted to talk about, because I just think it's so funny where it's like, okay, worked in an after-school program 2 years later. So I worked in an after-school program for 6 months. Then a couple months after that ended, I started at a hospital. So I'd work with this one girl there, I'd work with one girl a couple of years later at the hospital. And then so the girl at the hospital sends me a letter. She had gotten admitted to Riverview, and which is detention area. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I know that many kids who have mental problems end up there. And so she writes me this letter, which is very nice of her. And so she writes me this letter, and she writes out the name of this unique name of one of the girls who was at the after school program. And I'm just like, oh my god, are they talking? Do they know? Do they know? One of the I worked in an agency here. I had my private practice, doing my thing. One of the people who was at the group home had like some program with one of my previous clients or like current clients. I can't remember. It was like maybe 3 years ago now, and it was funny to me because the person comes back to the group home and is like, oh, so and so said that her therapist is named Vanessa and she has glasses too. Oh, thanks. Well, there's plenty of therapists in the area named Vanessa. I don't know. It's so, again, so weird. Because, I expect something like that to happen, but I don't expect something like, I worked in North Haven, I worked in Westport, these kids were sent off to Waterbury, and that's where they were in a program together. Oh, Jesus, years later. Very interesting. If you don't, sorry, I'm saying all these words and I'm expecting that you understand them. The distance between North Haven and Westport is about an hour, and Waterbury from either place is about an hour. So it's just this very weird thing that happens. It's weird. But that's definitely something that goes on. Connecticut's tiny. Anyway, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will try and update soon. Thanks.